Chapter 296, You Are Too Naive. Jianyun had noticed her bad mood when she was on the phone with Wu Yanyan yesterday, so she was very worried. Wu Wenjing said, Don't. It's not good to go see people at night. Let's go tomorrow morning. I will take half a day off. Yes, okay. I will contact you tomorrow morning. Jianyun answered and was about to hang up. Hey, wait a minute, Jianyun. Have you made up with President Huo? Wu Wenjing could not help but ask curiously. Let's talk about it when we meet. Jianyun stood beside the car. She looked at Huo Liancheng, who was sitting in the car and looking at her. She quickly interrupted Wu Wenjing. Okay, then let's talk again. Hurry up and enjoy the two of them. Wu Wenjing tactfully laughed dryly a few times before hanging up the phone. Jianyun's face unconsciously turned red again. She opened the car door and sat in the passenger seat. Huo Liancheng touched her cheek. Why are you blushing? Are you thinking about something serious? The wind is blowing. Jianyun rolled her eyes at him. Ever since he left the house, she had said that his face was cold and handsome. He did not smile on the way and deliberately maintained his usual cold and aloof appearance. However, she was already used to his gentle teasing and was not used to it. Where are we going now? Jianyun saw that Huo Liancheng was still staring at her. She put down her hair to cover the left side of his face and changed the topic. Where do you want to go? Huo Liancheng asked. Jianyun shook her head. I have nowhere to go. Then let's go home. Huo Liancheng started the car and drove out of the hospital. Don't you need to go to work on Tuesday? Jianyun was puzzled. Huo Liancheng had been very free these 2 days. Chengmu's went to the company. I will rest for 2 days. Huo Liancheng put his hand on the steering wheel and said in a deep voice. Jianyun asked again. Are you going back to take an afternoon nap? No. Huo Liancheng glanced at Jianyun. Do something else. What is it? Jianyun suddenly felt her eyelids twitch. She had a bad feeling. Go back and tell you. Huo Liancheng smiled maliciously. Jianyun's eyelids twitched even more. However, she could not ask directly. If it wasn't like what she thought, she would have been laughed at by Huo Liancheng. Therefore, she could only silently hope that she was thinking too much. However, Jianyun still underestimated Huo Liancheng's interest in that matter. Just as he arrived home, he impatiently started to take off Jianyun's clothes. Jianyun was both embarrassed and angry. What are you doing? It's still daytime. No one says that you can't work in broad daylight? Huo Liancheng picked Jianyun up and walked towards the sofa. Duoer, we just got married. You can't take away my rights. You haven't done enough last night. Jianyun pushed Huo Liancheng with all her might. She was really depressed to death. How can this be enough? Huo Liancheng looked at Jianyun strangely. He naturally noticed that, although Jianyun did not reject him, her interest last night was not as high as the night before. Huo Liancheng asked hesitantly, Duoer, do you not like it? What do you not like? Jianyun was already placed on the sofa by Huo Liancheng. She put one hand on him and did not let him get too close, as she asked casually, Do you not like to do it with me? Huo Liancheng was a little nervous. This concerned his male pride. No, Jianyun shook her head and denied. She bit her lips and said, But can you not be so diligent? Aren't you tired? I'm not tired. Doing this is to relax, Huo Liancheng said naturally. It's much easier than a meeting. Jianyun rolled her eyes. But I'm so tired. Why are you lying there and not moving? How can you be tired? Huo Liancheng did not believe her. Jianyun slapped Huo Liancheng's shoulder angrily. I don't want to talk to you. All right, be good, Duo. Just once, okay? I've been clear of my heart and have no desire for 6 or 7 years. You have to understand me. Jianyun's eyelashes trembled and her heart loosened a little. Seeing this, Huo Liancheng hurriedly took advantage of the heat and began to sweet-talk and kiss her to coax her. In the end, Jianyun, who did not have a firm stance, surrendered once again. Then, we've agreed, just once. Jianyun looked at Huo Liancheng's eyes that lit up and her heart softened. She knew that Huo Liancheng had just tasted the sweetness and must be very interested. After a while, he should not be so addicted. Forget it, just bear with it. After the exercise, Huo Liancheng was finally satisfied and let Jianyun take a shower. When Jianyun came out of the washroom, she saw Huo Liancheng enter the study room. She did not disturb him and went back to her room to tidy up. The afternoon passed just like that. At night, Huo Liancheng and Jianyun cooked by themselves. After they finished eating, they dragged Jianyun out for a walk. This life was as warm as my old wife's. Of course, Jianyun felt that if Huo Liancheng could not be so beastly, it would be even better if he did not make her purple and purple every time. However, reality proved that Jianyun was still too naive. When she came back from the walk, Jianyun was once again pushed down by Huo Liancheng. This time, Huo Liancheng exercised until midnight. Jianyun was so tired that she did not even have the strength to resist. In the end, she could only let him do whatever he wanted. The next day, when Jianyun woke up, Huo Liancheng was not at home. There was a note left by him at the head of the bed, saying that he went to the company and came back for lunch. Jianyun quickly picked up her phone, and indeed saw Wu Wenjing's missed call. It was just that she was too tired and slept soundly, so she did not hear the phone call. Jianyun looked at the time. It was almost 8 o'clock. She called Wu Wenjing back and quickly picked it up. Hello, Jianyun, you're up? Wu Wenjing's side was very noisy. It should be on the street. Yes, where are you? How are we going to Yanyan's house? Jianyun endured the pain in her body and found clothes to wear. After she went home, she still stayed in her original room and said that she would not go to Huo Liancheng's bedroom. Huo Liancheng squeezed into the small bed with her. I'll drive to pick you up. We'll be there in 15 minutes. You will come down when you are well. Wu Wenjing hung up the phone after she finished speaking. 15 minutes later, Jianyun sat in Wu Wenjing's car. She looked around and asked curiously, You bought another car? I didn't buy it. It's my boyfriend's. Wu Wenjing giggled. When did you talk about boyfriends? Jianyun was surprised. It's the classmate I told you about who worked in the film company. We saw each other. Wu Wenjing winked at Jianyun. Really? Jianyun was a little suspicious. She had never heard Wu Wenjing mention it before. Wu Wenjing could not hide her words. Usually she would spread it everywhere before she even finished her sentence, so it was very unusual for her to hide it this time. It's fake. I'm kidding you. Wu Wenjing saw Jianyun's anxious and uncertain look and immediately laughed out loud. She reached out and pinched Jianyun's face. The car is indeed his, but it is just for a few days. We are good brothers. Jianyun unhappily rolled her eyes at Wu Wenjing. Wasting feelings. Wu Wenjing laid on the steering wheel and stared at Jianyun and suddenly said, Jianyun, I haven't seen you for a few days. Why do I feel that your skin has become better again and your eyes are watery? Looks like you have been having a very sweet and nourishing life recently. Chapter 297, Weird Nanny. Is there? Jianyun took out a mirror and took a look. I don't think so. Isn't it the same as before? The bystanders can see clearly. Wu Wenjing tapped Jianyun's forehead and teased, Look, there are peach blossoms everywhere here. Jianyun, seriously, I am happy for you. Jianyun put down the mirror and looked at Wu Wenjing and said in puzzlement, Happy for what? I'm happy that you found happiness. Wu Wenjing rarely said seriously, If I were a man, I would have taken you down long ago. I think President Huo and President Huo have the same vision on this point. Ha, then I really have to thank you for your love. Jianyun could not help but laugh. She leaned over and kissed Wu Wenjing on the face. You also need to find a man to marry quickly. I have been working hard, but I can't find a suitable one. Wu Wenjing spread out her hands and she and Jianyun teased for a bit before starting the car. Let's wait for fate. Perhaps there will be your true love at the next corner. Jianyun smiled. Right, let's go to Yanyan's house. Do you want to bring something? I bought fruits and Yanyan's favorite snacks. They're at the back of the car. Wu Wenjing said, Sigh, if it was like Yanyan's mother-in-law, I would rather be alone for the rest of my life. What exactly is going on? Tell me. Jianyun was very anxious. Yesterday, Wu Wenjing only mentioned it briefly, but did not elaborate. She was really worried to death. We'll talk when we get there. Wu Wenjing shrugged. But you need to be mentally prepared. You will hear the super extreme thing. You think I can almost guess? Jianyun curled her lips. She did not need to think to know that it was definitely Luo Yanyan's mother-in-law who did this. You can't guess. I was shocked when I knew, Wu Wenjing said with a cold smile. Wu Wenjing parked the car downstairs and the two went upstairs to knock on the door. The person who opened the door was a middle-aged woman. She was not Luo Yanyan's mother-in-law, but she had a pair of astute eyes like Qin Dong's mother. Are you guys Yanyan's classmates? Quickly come in and take a seat. The woman was very enthusiastic. When Jianyun and Wu Wenjing saw Luo Yanyan, she could not help but feel her heart ache. Although Luo Yanyan was not that kind of tall and beautiful woman, she was better than a baby face. She was petite and cute, and her temperament was good. But at this time, Jianyun saw a woman with messy hair lying on the bed. Her face was pale and haggard, and her eyes were lifeless. Yanyan. Jianyun sat by the bed and held Luo Yanyan's hand. For a moment, she could not say anything. Thinking back to when they were in university, they were so high-spirited. Although Luo Yanyan was shy, she was also talented. Her writing was good too. Back then, how did she become like this when she just got married? Jianyun, you came? Luo Yanyan was very happy when she saw Jianyun and Wu Wenjing. It was just that her throat was a little hoarse, as if she did not have much strength. Yanyan, how is it? Wu Wenjing placed the fruit in the living room outside. She brought in the snacks and asked, Is there anything you want to eat? I want to drink milk tea. Luo Yanyan's eyes lit up and licked her lips. Milk tea can't be drunk. It's not good for the baby. After the middle-aged woman welcomed Jianyun and Wu Wenjing into the room, she had been standing at the door of the bedroom. When she heard Luo Yanyan's words, she quickly stopped her. There is tea in milk tea. It hurts the baby's brain development. This is true. Jianyun and Wu Wenjing nodded. Milk tea is indeed not edible. Let's eat fruit and drink fruit and juice. Luo Yanyan pouted and looked very disappointed. The two of you can sit with Yanyan later. I will squeeze some fruit juice for Yanyan to drink. The middle-aged woman greeted them politely and left. Who is she? Jianyun asked Luo Yanyan in a low voice. She is Qindong's auntie. You can call her Auntie Chen. She was invited by Qindong to take care of me. Luo Yanyan lowered her eyes and said, Where's your mother-in-law? Jianyun asked again, Why isn't she here? Luo Yanyan heard this and sneered. It's okay if she doesn't come. I'll die of anger if she comes. What exactly is going on? Wu Wenjing only said half of her words and I was so anxious. Jianyun really wanted to know what exactly happened to Luo Yanyan to make her become like this. What else can she do? She suspects that I am not carrying the seed of the Qin family and wants me to abort the child, Luo Yanyan said as she became angry and her face also turned red. Jianyun was shocked at that time. She had guessed many possibilities, but did not expect Qindong's mother to actually suspect this. It was simply like rolling thunder. Didn't this indirectly put a cuckold on her son? Yanyan, don't be angry. It will not be good if you hurt the fetal gas. Wu Wenjing hurriedly comforted Luo Yanyan. Yanyan, I won't ask. Don't be angry. Take good care of the fetus. Jianyun also quickly held Luo Yanyan's hand to comfort her. Jianyun, Wu Wenjing, I am a little scared. Luo Yanyan shook her head, but her eyes revealed a disappointed look. What are you afraid of? Jianyun asked. I have been having nightmares for the past few days. I dreamed of my grandfather. My grandfather passed away 10 years ago. When he was alive, he was very good to me. But these 2 nights, in my old dream, he told me he wanted to find someone to keep him company. Luo Yanyan's lips were trembling, and her hand was placed on her abdomen. Her eyes could not hide her panic and fear. Yanyan, don't think about it blindly. It's just a dream. Wu Wenjing scolded. You and the baby are fine. You must give birth to this child and then do a DNA test. When the time comes, take the report and smash the old witch's face. I'm just afraid that we won't be able to wait until that day. Wu Yanyan smiled bitterly. Yanyan, you can't be so pessimistic. You have to be so pessimistic. Think in the right direction. Jianyun frowned. She felt that Luo Yanyan's mental state was not right. Where's Qindong? Where did he go? He went out to study. He will be back in 3 months. Luo Yanyan did not say anything and Wu Wenjing answered on her behalf. What is his attitude? Jianyun asked again. She knew very well that in a marriage, a man played a decisive role. If a man was too weak and only followed his mother or listened to his wife's words, the family would not be peaceful. Of course, he trusted me. He knew the days given by the hospital, but he could not convince his mother. When Luo Yanyan talked about Qindong, there was no emotion in her eyes. She was very calm, as if she was talking about a stranger. His mother refused to believe that this child was Qindong's. She said that I was pregnant and shameless before I got married. She did not want to take care of me, so Qindong could only find his aunt. What era is this? Jianyun was really speechless. Qindong's mother's thinking was also very ancient. Nowadays, people's concept of marriage was very open. Many people were popular to try marriage first and get pregnant before getting on the train. It was a very common phenomenon. Why was it that getting pregnant first before getting married was shameless in her mouth? Okay, let's not talk about this anymore. Yanyan, you better take good care of the baby. I think your baby must be a fat son. When the time comes, I will be a godmother. Wu Wenjing had sharp eyes and saw Qindong's little aunt coming over. She quickly gave Jianyun and Luo Yanyan a look and quickly changed the topic. Chapter 298. He who has a son must have a mother. Jianyun and Luo Yanyan immediately stopped talking. After all, little Aunt Qindong and his mother were family. If little Aunt heard them complain about Qindong's mother and was known by Mama Qin would definitely scold Luo Yanyan again. Jianyun also laughed. She winked at Luo Yanyan. That's right. I want to be a godmother too. Yanyan, you have to take good care of the baby. Your baby is the big brother of the children. Our baby has to follow behind big brother. Tsk, Wu Wenjing's child can still hang around. Your baby shouldn't hang around. Wu Yanyan also recovered a bit of spirit and said with a smile. On what basis? Do you still discriminate against my child? Jianyun was unhappy. Don't you see who your child's father is? He has such a father. He has to receive elite education since he was young. How could he mix with commoners like us? Maybe we will have to rely on your young master in the future. Luo Yanyan said with a smile. What nonsense are you talking about? I am not ready yet. When Jianyun thought of having a baby with Huo Liancheng, her face unconsciously turned red. Jianyun, if you are not ready, why are you blushing? Luo Yanyan teased Jianyun. At this time, Auntie Chen came in with 3 times the amount of freshly squeezed orange juice on a tray and smiled politely. You guys talk. I will go out to watch TV. Yanyan, if you need anything, let me know. This cup of warm orange juice is yours. Thank you, Auntie. Luo Yanyan smiled and watched Aunt Chen go out. Wu Wenjing was getting restless. Jianyun, how is the progress between you and President Huo? When do you plan to get married? But his family is a super wealthy family. I'm a little worried about you. Worry about what? Luo Yanyan quickly asked. That kind of super wealthy family must have a lot of requirements for the choice of daughter-in-law. Most of them are married and their interests are linked. Jianyun came from a commoner family. I'm afraid she will be bullied. Wu Wenjing was worried. I did not think so much. You are really willing to be annoyed. Jianyun lightly spat and rolled her eyes at Wu Wenjing. However, it was not that she was not worried in her heart. Actually, she had considered this point from Wu Wenjing, especially the change in Huo Liancheng's expression when he mentioned his mother yesterday morning. Jianyun thought carefully, and at that time, she thought that it might be because her mother-in-law was not easy to get along with, but it was already done, and it was useless to worry so much. She could only take it one step at a time. After all, it mainly depended on Huo Liancheng's attitude. Jianyun, from now on, you need to read more about the articles between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law and learn those scheming moves. Otherwise, with your position, you will be defeated by President Huo's mother in minutes. Wu Wenjing rubbed her chin and started to give Jianyun ideas. You speak as if you have seen his mother. How could you not know that she might be a very kind person? Jianyun drank a mouthful of orange juice and sneered. It is impossible to think with your toes. How can a kind and amiable mother have such a cold and aloof son? Wu Wenjing curled her lips and looked like she was an idiot, so President Huo's mother must be the same as him, a super huge iceberg, cold. Luo Yanyan could not help but laugh. The corner of Jianyun's eyes twitched. All right then. I think what you said is very reasonable. All right, listen to me. When we get back, I will give you the knowledge of fighting with your mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. Of course, the most important thing is that you must hold President Huo's heart tightly. Wu Wenjing reached out her hand and made a fist-grabbing gesture. We can't fight. She is in Switzerland. Jianyun shook her head and was very speechless. All right, let's not talk about me anymore. Let's talk about you. When do you plan to get married? I don't even have a partner. Who am I going to marry? Wu Wenjing walked to the door as if she did not care and suddenly smiled. Auntie, why are you standing here? Jianyun and Luo Yanyan turned their heads to look but did not see anyone. They heard Auntie Chen's voice from the corner of the wall outside the door and laughed awkwardly. Oh, I was just about to come in and ask if you guys are hungry. Oh, I am not hungry, asked Yanyan. Wu Wenjing did not point out the fact that Auntie Chen was listening to the wall, but turned her head and asked, Yanyan, are you hungry? Yes, give me a few biscuits. I can't eat anything else. Luo Yanyan said weakly. Yanyan, do you have a big reaction? Jianyun sighed helplessly in her heart. Now she finally understood what kind of strange thing Wu Wenjing was talking about. Luo Yanyan's bedridden conservation was simply like a prison. Although Qingdong's mother did not come, but coming to her biological sister was equivalent to placing a spy here. Big, vomit at night and can't smell anything. We can only eat porridge noodles. Luo Yanyan said with melancholy. In the future, tell us what you want to eat, and we will bring it to you. Jianyun shook Luo Yanyan's hand. In just half a month's time, Luo Yanyan had lost a lot of weight. It made her heart ache. Yes, Luo Yanyan nodded. When she saw Aunt Chen go to the living room to get the biscuits, she looked at Jianyun with an expression that was about to cry. Jianyun, I regret it. I really regret it. I should have listened to you guys back then and turned around to leave on the day of marriage. Jianyun could not help sighing. Yanyan, don't think so much. There's no use thinking about it now. It is more important to recover your health. But, when I think of what my mother said, and how he acted subserviently in front of my mother and could not say a single word, I was so angry, and then I also regretted it. Why did I have to listen to my parents' words? Why did I agree to this marriage? And why did I have to get pregnant? Jianyun, I hate myself so much. Sometimes I really wish that I would die. Luo Yanyan's tears fell. She covered her mouth and could not make a sound. Yanyan, don't talk nonsense. Jianyun heard her and quickly covered Luo Yanyan's mouth. She continued. There is something that I said that you may not be happy, but your current mood is not right. I must say that character determines fate. Actually, you also understand that even if you do it again, you might not be able to make a better choice, right? Since things have already come to this, what you should do now is to give birth to the child. When you chose to take him back then, it means that you like him. The child is related to your blood. No matter what you want to do, we will support you. But everything can wait until the child is born. I understand. Luo Yanyan calmed down a little. Wu Wenjing was outside chatting with Aunt Chen because she wanted Jianyun and Luo Yanyan to talk alone. Luo Yanyan wiped her tears. She had been lying on the bed, maintaining the left side of the bed. She did not dare to move. Yanyan, we must all be fine. We will all be happy. Jianyun pulled out a tissue and wiped Luo Yanyan's tears. Yes, we will all be happy. Luo Yanyan held Jianyan's hand and said with a bitter smile, so we cannot give up hope. Chapter 299, Old Convention, i.e. everything will be fine. Think about it. You have a job. You can earn money to support yourself. You're beautiful, and you can live on your own without anyone else. So why care about what others think? Jianyun looked into Luo Yanyan's eyes and softly comforted. As for your parents, you should let go of them. Otherwise, they are like a bottomless pit. The one who is tired is still you. I know that saying this may be a little unfilial, but you are right. Luo Yanyan interrupted Jianyun's words. I know that I am indeed too good to them. They all treat me as an ATM and still want to manipulate me to decide my fate. I am responsible for getting married to this extent. My parents are also responsible. If they did not persuade me to accept Qingdong day and night and bring him everywhere to try to get me to know him to be good to me and find various grandmothers to persuade me, I would not accept him. At this point, there is nothing to complain about. But Yun, I just feel that it is not worth it. Jianyun sighed and looked at Luo Yanyan with pity. She understood that Luo Yanyan's character was so weak because of the family education she had received since she was young, but her parents' actions really made people hate and angry. Just because of Qingdong's kindness, They ignored their daughter's wishes and forced her to marry someone she did not like. This kind of behavior was no different from selling their daughter. In the end, they did not get along with each other. Since they had gotten their daughter's hatred, they could not get along with the Qin family. Yan Yan, you have already accepted Qin Dong. There's no point in thinking about this. You should still have some feelings for him. Think about his benefits. Don't exaggerate his shortcomings. If you are still willing to live with him, of course, if you are planning to leave, it is another matter. However, no matter what, take good care of your body. Otherwise, if your body collapses, you will still be in pain. Jian Yun rubbed Luo Yanyan's palm and spoke her heart out. When Luo Yanyan heard this, she was a little stunned and did not speak for a long time. Jian Yun understood that no matter how much she said to Wu Wenjing, it was still useless if Luo Yanyan could not figure it out herself. She did not speak anymore and only quietly accompanied Luo Yanyan. Wu Wenjing and Aunt Chen were talking nonsense outside. At this time, Jian Yun's phone rang. She took out her phone from her bag and saw Huo Liancheng's name on the screen. Jian Yun picked up the phone. Hello? Where is it? I came back to look for you, but I didn't see you. Huo Liancheng's voice was low, but it sounded like he was in a good mood. I was at Yan Yan's house. I told you yesterday. Did you forget? Jian Yun turned around and spoke on the phone with her back to Luo Yanyan. Is it over? I will wait for you to come back for dinner. Huo Liancheng's tone became gentler. How can it be so fast? Jian Yun pouted. She had been tortured by Huo Liancheng for the past 2 days and was not very willing to see him. She looked at the time again. It's almost 11 o'clock. I'm going back now. It's too late for lunch. You can eat by yourself. You don't count your words? We agreed to have lunch together. Huo Liancheng was unhappy. He did not like Jian Yun to put other people's matters before him. Let's eat tonight? Jian Yun noticed Luo Yanyan looking at her. She turned her head and saw Luo Yanyan's curious and ambiguous expression. Her face immediately heated up. Tell me the address. I will go and pick you up. Huo Liancheng did not allow her to reject the order. Hey, can you not be so domineering? Jian Yun was not happy. Huo Liancheng was silent. Even through the phone line, Jian Yun could feel a chill. She could not help but shake her head. She had just made up with Huo Liancheng for 2 days and did not want to quarrel with him. Jian Yun was about to step back, but just as she opened her mouth, she heard Huo Liancheng say a word. Be good. President Huo's trick of coaxing people did not change for hundreds of years, coaxing them to coax them to coax them. She was almost sick of hearing this word good, but it was actually quite enjoyable. Forget it, she did not plan to bicker with him anymore. What are you laughing at? His tone was a little unnatural. I am laughing. You always say I am. Good, but I am not a 3-year-old baby. Jian Yun said deliberately. Okay, I will think about it again. Huo Liancheng really thought about it seriously. Okay, think about it slowly. I'm hanging up. Jian Yun hung up the phone without waiting for Huo Liancheng to say anything. Huo Liancheng sat in the car and looked at the dark screen of his phone. His eyebrows furrowed. Why did he feel that this girl was trying to hide from him again? About 10 seconds later, Huo Liancheng suddenly heard a text message on his phone. He picked up the phone and looked at it. However, he immediately raised his sword-like brows. His cold eyes became gentle and his cold lips curled up. This was a text message from Jian Yun. The content of the text message was only a dozen words. It was Luo Yanyan's address. At the same time, at Luo Yanyan's house. Jian Yun had just hung up the phone when her face turned red from embarrassment under Luo Yanyan's ambiguous and gossipy gaze. She lowered her eyelashes and quickly sent a text message to Huo Liancheng. Only then did she roll her eyes at Luo Yanyan. Why are you looking at me like that? Jian Yun, you are in love with him. Luo Yanyan smiled. Jian Yun blushed again. She did not admit it, but she did not deny it. Sigh, I really envy you. Luo Yanyan sighed and said, how difficult it is to be able to be in love with each other now. Don't sigh. You have a little baby in your belly. You must be happy. Otherwise, the little baby will also like to sigh when it is born. Jian Yun did not continue to talk about Luo Yanyan. She felt that Luo Yanyan's current mood was very bad. She got into a corner and always blamed the heavens, but did not think of how to solve the problem. But Jian Yun also understood that Qingdong was not at home right now. Luo Yanyan was pregnant and lying on the bed and could not do anything else. Her mother's family was unreliable, and this situation was indeed very awkward. No wonder she was so haggard and so pessimistic. Wu Wenjing outside really did not have anything to say to Aunt Chen, so she came in. Aunt Chen also came over and asked, you guys stay here and accompany Yanyan. I will go cook and stay for lunch. No need, Aunt. I already have an appointment. Next time. Jian Yun stood up politely and said, since you guys are all here, it would be rude if I don't let you guys eat. Aunt Chen looked at Luo Yanyan with difficulty. Yanyan, advise your friends to let them stay. Little aunt, Jian Yun wants to go to the world of 2 people with her husband. Let's not disturb them. Wu Wenjing, are you all right in the afternoon? Stay? Luo Yanyan smiled and glanced at Jian Yun. When Jian Yun heard the word husband, her face could not help but turn redder. Although she and Huo Liancheng were indeed husband and wife, she had never called him husband. This always sounded weird. She could not help but glare at Luo Yanyan. but Luo Yanyan and Wu Wenjing both squeezed their eyes at her. Chapter 300. Come and see your man. All right then, you must come and try my cooking next time. Bring your husband with you. I'm not bragging. My cooking skills are very good. Everyone who has eaten is praising me. Auntie Chen laughed heartily. Good. Jian Yun also smiled and nodded. Aunt Chen went out immediately. Jian Yun, Wu Wenjing, and Luo Yanyan chatted again, but she was obviously a little absent-minded. From time to time she took out her phone to look at the time. Jian Yun, your phone rang. The three of them chatted well. Wu Wenjing suddenly pointed at the phone in Jian Yun's hand and said. Jian Yun almost subconsciously jumped up and slid the phone in front of her. But then she realized that the phone screen was dark, and no one called. Wu Wenjing. Jian Yun was angry at that time. You tricked me. Ha ha ha. Wu Wenjing laughed so hard that her waist could not stand up. Jian Yun, you are in love. Appraisal complete. Jian Yun rushed over and started quarreling with Wu Wenjing. Luo Yanyan laid on the bed and looked at the two of them quarreling and could not help smiling. Jian Yun, the phone? The phone rang. Although Wu Wenjing was taller and stronger than Jian Yun in terms of martial power, she was still unable to beat Jian Yun, who had practiced Tai Chi for many years. At that time, she was pressed to the ground and howled. You want to lie to me again? I don't believe you. Jian Yun snorted and continued to tickle Wu Wenjing. Jian Yun, your phone is really ringing. Luo Yanyan saw that Wu Wenjing was being subdued by Jian Yun and could not help but shake her head. For a moment, she could not help but laugh. Jian Yun only let go of Wu Wenjing when she heard these words. She tilted her head and heard that it was indeed her phone that was ringing. She immediately jumped up and picked up the phone that was placed beside Luo Yanyan's bed. When she saw the caller ID, her eyes immediately lit up. Hello? Jian Yun picked up the phone and her voice was also soft and soft. Wu Wenjing sat on the ground and imitated Jian Yun's appearance. She used her hand to compare the way she used the phone and said with a shy expression, Hello, husband? Luo Yanyan laughed and Jian Yun glared at Wu Wenjing and ignored her. She turned around and went to the window to talk on the phone. I'm here. On the other side of the phone, Huo Liancheng's voice was low and hoarse. There was the faint sound of a car horn nearby. So fast? Jian Yun looked at the time. It had only been 20 minutes. From home to Luo Yanyan's place, even if the road was green, it would take at least 40 minutes to drive. I miss you, Huo Liancheng said. Jian Yun blushed. She subconsciously glanced at Luo Yanyan and Wu Wenjing. Seeing both of them staring at her with burning eyes, she could not help but feel even more embarrassed. Don't you miss me? Huo Liancheng suddenly wanted to tease Jian Yun. Yes. Jian Yun seemed to have a piece of candy in her mouth. After mumbling for a long time, only one word came out. She was afraid that Wu Wenjing and Luo Yanyan would hear the contents of the phone. She quickly changed the topic and asked, Where are you now? I will look for you. At the entrance of the residential area. You did not give me the building number, Huo Liancheng said. Wait, I'll be right there. Jian Yun hung up the phone and turned around. She saw Wu Wenjing and Luo Yanyan staring at her and smiling. Jian Yun felt guilty, and her face turned a little red. She glared at the two of them and reproached. What are you laughing at? What's so funny? Quickly go and see your man. Don't make people anxious. Luo Yanyan made a face at Jian Yun. Jian Yun, I didn't think that you were also a guy with the opposite sex and no humanity. Wu Wenjing pretended to be angry. You actually dumped me just for a man. Then come with me. Anyway, you know him too. Jian Yun naturally went over to pull Wu Wenjing. Wu Wenjing was shocked on the spot and waved her hands repeatedly. Forget it. Forget it. I don't want to be with your family's handsome Huo. I will freeze to death. I recorded your words and will play it for him later. Jian Yun waved her phone in front of Wu Wenjing and smiled slyly. She turned around and ran. Hey, Jian Yun, great beauty Jian, you're the most beautiful. Please don't. Wu Wenjing threw herself onto the doorframe and wailed. Jian Yun ran to the door and came back. She blew a kiss to Luo Yanyan. Yanyan baby, you have to be fine. Think about it, and don't be unhappy. When I have time, I will come to see you again. When I am bored, we will send WeChat. After saying that, Jian Yun proudly touched Wu Wenjing's face and turned to leave. Wu Wenjing watched Jian Yun's figure disappear outside the door. She turned her head and smiled at Luo Yanyan. Yanyan, look, you have to learn from Jian Yun. We both know what kind of life she has been living before. But look, she has never submitted to fate. Only now would she be so happy. I really envy Jian Yun. If only I was as independent and brave as her and have my own opinions. Luo Yanyan lowered her eyes and sighed softly. Yanyan, don't envy others. What you don't know is that we are also envious of you. Although your parents have gone overboard, it cannot be denied that they have always doted on you. Unlike Jian Yun and I have never had a father or mother since I was young and only followed my grandmother. I am also used to it, but Jian Yun is different. In the first 20 years, she was like a princess and enjoyed thousands of doting, but in one night, everything that she had fell apart. Nothing is more painful than losing again. Her father has not seen her until now. So Yanyan, don't always envy others. Everyone has their own life. Wu Wenjing changed her usual cheerful appearance and sat by the bed. She held Luo Yanyan's hand and said very seriously. Luo Yanyan's eyelashes trembled violently. She slowly opened her eyes and looked at Wu Wenjing. Her eyes became empty for a moment. It's useless no matter how much we say. You have to figure it out yourself. Yan Yan, since you have made your choice, don't always regret it. This is not fair to Qingdong. Although he is a mother's treasure, he treats you well. It is not like you don't have feelings for him. Then, work hard for your marriage and children. Wu Wenjing said slowly. I need to think carefully. Luo Yanyan nodded lightly. Jianyun went downstairs and ran to the entrance of the residential area. Luo Yanyan's house was located in a building that was developed by her unit. The residential area was not big, and there were only a few buildings. In less than 5 minutes, Jianyun was already standing at the entrance. No matter where Huo Liancheng was, he was the most dazzling. Jianyun could see him standing under a tree and smoking from afar. There were people passing by from time to time, and they were all secretly looking at him. However, the cold President Huo treated all the probes with a cold face. Jianyun looked at him for a while before walking over. However, Jianyun had just arrived behind Huo Liancheng when she heard his deep and pleasant voice. Have you seen enough? Are you willing to come over? Jianyun was stunned. You saw me long ago? What do you think? Huo Liancheng turned around and narrowed his eyes to look at Jianyun. His handsome face was always cold. But didn't you not turn around? Do you have eyes on the back of your head? Jianyun still did not believe it. She felt that Huo Liancheng must have heard her footsteps before he knew she was coming.